Welcome to week 3 of 52 circles, and today our theme is holes. We're going to start with a stack of fabrics because we're going to be making layers using reverse appliqué. Using my friction pen, I'm going to sketch a rough circle, which I'll then stitch by just using some straight stitch on the machine. Trim the threads, fold it in half to make a cut in the middle, and then carefully cut around the edge of the circle without cutting the stitching. There's going to be a close-up view of this later on. You'll end up with a hole in your fabric, which we can then use as a template to make a second hole. So I'm laying some fabric underneath, using that as a guide to sketch out another hole for a smaller circle within the existing hole that I've just created. Adding some fabric to the back, because I'm going to turn that through. So a line of straight stitch around the circle that I've drawn. And then this section will show you fold it in half, make an incision to get your scissors into the circle, and then very carefully trimming around the inside of the circle as close as you dare to the stitching without actually cutting through the stitching. Once you've done that, you're going to pull one fabric through the other. So we're going to hide that raw edge, that seam on the inside of the fabric. So we're just going to tease that layer through, and then we're going to very carefully press that with an iron, being careful not to burn ourselves in the process. You can then start to layer up your holes, so you've obviously got different colours to choose from depending on the fabrics that you've used for each layer of your circle. So you can spend a bit of time offering them up and seeing which combination you like the best. I'm going to go for the calico on top, but I want to just break up that calico effect, so I'm going to use the same technique as last week, some Quink ink just on a dry brush, just to glide that round. Quite like that kind of way that it interrupts the surface of the calico, slightly more interesting to look at, and just a little bit there bleeding into the inside of the denim middle circle. I just accentuated that swoosh of the ink with some running stitch in a blue thread, and now I'm just offering up different colours to see what I want for the centre hole, and I decided to go for the accent of pink, using some machine stitch just to secure the whole thing in place. And this is this week's sample using reverse appliqué holes. See you next week.